I want to provide an update for the officer-involved shooting that occurred earlier today, just prior to 2 p.m. Around the 500 block of Northern Lights Boulevard. I do want to remind everyone that this is the preliminary investigations happening right now, so we don't have all the data and the information. We will advise you of a press conference in a couple of days after we conduct more interviews and look at more of the forensic evidence, so I can provide more of a clear statement. But right now, I just want to give as much information that we have to catch everyone up on kind of what we know at this moment in time. Officers responded to a robbery in progress. The victim fled a business into another nearby business. She had tape around her wrists and her mouth. When officers arrived, or while officers were en route to the scene, they were advised that the suspect was armed with a handgun. They were provided a description of the suspect, and they were also told that the suspect was attempting to gain entry into an ATM at the victim location. When officers arrived on scene, they made contact with the victim, and one officer observed someone matching the description of the suspect. That officer attempted to make contact with the suspect. Suspect did not respond. The officer provided commands to the suspect, at which time the suspect fled on foot. The officer eventually fired between 5 and 8 rounds, striking the suspect 2 times in the upper body. It is unknown at this point, because we didn't do an interview with the officer involved at the time, what the officer saw just prior to making a decision to fire his weapon. This incident was caught on body-worn camera. However, there was a little bit of an obstructed view with that body-worn camera, so it's not going to be clear camera footage as we typically would like to see on body-worn camera, but a body-worn camera was on and activated during the time of the incident. I also want to thank the officers that are involved for their rapid response to a high-risk call. They knew going to this call that it was a significant crime with a victim that had been bound, and there was a weapon involved, and just the continued dedication of the community in responding very rapidly to these high-risk calls for service. And with that, I'll take questions.
Yeah, I have a question. About how many officers responded to the scene?
Total that I know that were kind of in the near vicinity is 4, but exact officers that were on scene at the time in total, I don't have that number.
And were there any other weapons identified at the scene involved?
There was a handgun that was recovered from the suspect.
That's the only one?
Yes.
Okay. And is that suspect there at the hospital right now?
The suspect was taken to the local hospital, yes.
And then will the department at the next press conference or in the future, will they be releasing the names of the officers involved?
Yeah, per policy, we'll release the officer's name as we typically do, as well as the suspect as well.
Was there any sort of relation between the victim and the suspect at all?
No.
And you said it was a robbery in progress. Had they taken anything at that time?
Well, what we knew going into it was that they were attempting to get into an ATM at the victim location. Whether or not they got into it and actually took information, we don't know yet at this time.
Okay. And the suspect was fleeing as the officer shot them?
Correct.
Was it the victim that made the call to police, or who?
No, the victim was not the person that made the call. She went into a nearby business, and that's how we received the call for service.
And what's her current condition? The victim?
I'm not sure how to answer that question.
Okay.
That's a little tricky question. I mean, there's a lot going into that when you're kind of in that position. Suffice to say that she's not reacting well to being a victim in that situation, as would be what we'd be expecting. Take one more question if you got one more. All right, thank you.